Good morning from Tokyo. It is Saturday here, and I am headed to Nakano to meet a very special guest, one Norman England, the author of this book, Behind the Kaiju Curtain. I'll tell you guys more about this book once we get there and have a little chat with Norman. See you there.
Until 5.
Let's do it.
The Sun Plaza, soon to be gone, legendary Sun Plaza.
Yeah. It's a shame. Sort of the landmarks of Nakano. Yeah.
But as you can see behind us, like buildings are like cropping up.
Right. They're expanding the station too, I think, right?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Wonder if the Broadway building will ever come down. I mean, I know it will eventually, but wonder what will happen
Right.
with that.
Yeah, it's, you know how like buildings are in Japan, they're not really built to last.
Right.
So, and Japanese culturally have a thing about new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they love new stuff.
Speaking of new, we've got a new special guest today on the channel. This is Norman England to be exact, author of the fantastic book Behind the Kaiju Curtain. But Norman, introduce yourself. How long have you been here in Japan and what do you do?
Well, this year will be my 30th year in the land of the rising sun. Yeah, I moved here in '92, and what do is I make a living however I can from the movie industry here, mostly doing subtitling, translating, script translations and stuff like that. And I kind of started out in this business as a writer, working mostly for Fangoria magazine during like the whole J-horror heyday. The book, it kind of covers those early years in my career. Like, you know, I started out on Gamma 3, reporting for that, going to Kyoto Station. I was there for 3 days. I had already, for Fangoria, I had already interviewed director Shusuke Kaneko, and then I did a Nakajima Satsuma piece on the suit actors. And then Kaneko had said, you know, when I had interviewed him, like it was between Gamma 2 and 3, it was like, you got to come to the set, you know, do a piece for Fangoria, do a piece for Fangoria. Sure, and PR guys are fine. And I was living in Osaka at the time, so that's why going to Kyoto Station was like really easy. But yeah, that was really good, and that was like kind of the beginning of my doing set visits, which is covered in my book, which goes from experiences with Gamma 3, Godzilla 2000, Mega Giras, and then the book ends with GMK, because I was pretty much on the GMK set just about like every day, going from live action to special effects. So my book is, you know, sure, it's, you know, about Godzilla, but it's more about like set life in Japan, like the movie industry, you know, what is the daily life on the movie set. And I think it's like a view of Japanese culture, but it happens to be about Godzilla. I mean, I could have picked other movies, like I could have done Ju-On. I've been on a lot of the Ju-On in all the US Grudge 1 and Grudge 2, because Grudge 3 was shot in England. I don't know. I mean, I've always liked Godzilla. I've always liked kaiju. Everyone likes kaiju, but so I thought it was like the most accessible of all the movie sets I've been involved with, you know, in Japan.
Yeah, totally. This book is unlike anything I've ever read before, and the perspectives and it's not like a technical like breakdown of how the movies are made. It is literally what goes on behind the scenes with the cast, the crew, the after parties, the things that happen that you would not expect to see in a book like this. So it makes it very interesting to read.
There's no book like it in English and even in Japanese.
Yeah,
I mean,
Japanese.
You know, Japanese are very guarded about, you know, they don't want to insult people. They don't want to say the wrong thing.
Right.
You know, I mean, not like my book is like a tell-all and like trashing everybody, but I'm pretty frank about
there's no sugarcoating anything.
Even like I have friends at Toho, they were like, put it all in your book, put it all in your book. And I did, you know, to a point, you know, and the Godzilla sets were, you know, awesome. They were great. I've been a fan my whole life. So it was really like a dream come true to be able to do that. And that was like kind of a thing I wanted to give back to the community was, I have these experiences. If I knew what I knew then, what I know now, I would have done things slightly different. But then on the other hand, I wouldn't have been so bold and like, you know, outgoing and demanding of things. Because after the whole, by reporting things, I became involved with Japanese cinema. You know, I worked on crew. I directed a couple films, The Idol, Bringing Godzilla Down to Size. My last film was called New Neighbor.
So today we're here in Nakano, right across from Nakano Broadway, and right behind us is the Nakano Sun Plaza. And today we are going to do some Godzilla hunting. Maybe
I have to put a disclaimer up that I'm not a collector. I do have figures, and I have nothing against excessive figure collecting, but it's really, you know, I live in Japan. I don't have the space. Well, it's also expensive.
It is.
Very expensive, and it's gotten more expensive. I mean, I do got my figures. You know what I mean? When the wife won't castrate me or anything, I might come home with like, just got this Minita figure. You know, how much did you pay for that? It was just 3,000 yen. Oh, okay. Yeah, but if I came home with like an X Plus, I mean, that would be like sleeping with the dogs tonight.
But you're a fan of this stuff, and you have a lot of interesting stories, I think, that you can share as we're kind of browsing through the...
and I love looking at figures.
And
looking at photos of figures.
And we'll probably hit up a few other shops that I normally don't show in my videos. Maybe some of the poster shops and bookshops too that we can take a look at. And maybe get your insights on those, or some stories about some of those things. And let's head on inside.
Tally ho. Taking off the mask. I'm going to show you, because I'm on the Tokyo Toy Bastard channel. We're talking about toys. I brought my most precious Godzilla toy. Well, first of all, I'm wearing this today. And this is a t-shirt that I bought in 1985. I guess I was like 26 at the time. I'm in my 60s now. A little big here, but I still fit into my shirt from when I was at that age. But I got this shirt and I wore this today. A couple holes down here. But no, I think it's an awesome shirt. Very striking with this nice pink glow about it. I've never seen another one like it before. And at that time, I just to say, like, you know, a Godzilla fan, you know, back from the 60s. Maybe I saw Godzilla, the first Godzilla on TV, and I think 1965 in New York television. You know, it was like that and Gorgo were like my two main films, and then I would see films when they come to the theater. War of the Gargantuas 3 times in the theater, Godzilla's Revenge, things like that. But then, you know, I got older, I got into rock and roll, I was always into science fiction, and Godzilla was kind of like, you know, they stopped making the films in 75. And then when that 85 came out, Godzilla 85, it was like, oh yeah, I like Godzilla. I went on opening day, Times Square, to see the film, loved it. Then some friends of mine for my birthday that year, they got me a Godzilla figure and a book that they picked up at Forbidden Planet. And I still have that figure, which I believe is the first like Bandai Godzilla figure that came out. I guess this came out in '84, you know, but I keep this on my desk today. I love it. It's still like my favorite Godzilla figure. You know, they came out with that other one with his arms like on the side. He looks like he's diving. I hate that. I never bought that figure. It just was like, after this beautiful figure they made, I mean, the proportions are all good. I like the silver on it, you know.
This is Godzilla as he appears in Godzilla vs. King Kong.
King Kong versus Godzilla.
Sorry.
Get the order correct. But anyway, yeah, so I had brought this today just to,
awesome.
Because I'm on
Thanks for bringing it. I know you're not a toy collector, but if you were to find one toy, what toy would you hope to find?
Well, actually these days I've been obsessed with finding, and I printed it out to share it, the Godzilla toilet paper dispenser. And I actually had this, it's made by a company long gone called Beatland. And I actually had this back in the 80s. I just lost it in many moves that I've made. But this thing is like, you can never make this today, even though they do have toilet paper dispensers, you know, with Godzilla. But the awesome thing about this, if you can see, the way it cuts the toilet paper here. Like, I had this set up in my room in Manhattan, you know, and everyone loved it. And everyone, this thing is like sharp as anything. I cut myself several times on it. Friends cut themselves on it. This is like the most dangerous, you know, it's like back then when like no one really cared if a kid would lose a couple fingers over a toy, you know, that's just how it goes. So that I'm like now obsessed with like finding this again, and I've found it on auctions in Japan, but it's not like impossible to find, but it's also like over $100. And again, if I was like to my wife, hey dear, we've got this dangerous finger cutting Godzilla paper dispenser, you know, if I said I paid $10 for it, she'd be like, yeah, fine, but you know. Anyway, I'm looking for this. I want this. So this is like my new obsession, is to refine this and add this back into my life. This is actually a store that I like a lot. They sell a lot of posters. The guy's a little weird, so we're not going to actually step in, but you can see they've got a lot of episode 1.
Your favorite movie?
The original Gamma posters.
Yeah, I got one of these.
I have to say, there's a lot of reprint stuff that's been issued, and he's really nice. He writes reprint on it, so you're not like getting hoodwinked or anything. You know, but they have a lot of good posters, and the prices aren't that bad. A lot of, as you can see here too, here's a lot of Godzilla Chirashi, you know, from back in the day. I'm a big Chirashi collector. Actually, I do get that stuff. Yeah, I pick up Chirashi. I have folders full of them. Back in the 90s, I used to just take any movie. Like, why do I have Charlie's Angels Chirashi? But I have it now. I'm like, I can't throw it out because I've had it for 20-something years, you know? And I guess my first Godzilla film in Japan was Space Godzilla. You know, so I picked up stuff from that. It's like, yeah, Space Godzilla, Destroyer, Yamato Takeru, stuff like that. You know, so I do have those, but I have to fill in the collection, and that's where stores like this come in handy. This one, there's actually something I want to show you over here that I kind of, you know, they're always rearranging things. You can see like they've got some of these. This is Hyper Hobby, right?
Dengeki
Hobby. Sorry.
Yeah, these books are going up in price.
Are they?
Yeah, they're getting expensive. Like, look at the Gamera one. It's Ichiman Nisen.
Damn.
The
thing I wanted, I don't see these here. You know, those first books that came out in the 80s, and I've been wanting to pick them up, like these, like this in the slipcover, and they were like the first books that really had like set photos, and you know, it was like $100 back then, which today would be like $400 or something. But this place usually has them right here. I wanted to like, ooh, I've got to buy those. Sorry, you want to shoot, this woman's in the way right here. Like when Shin Godzilla came out, they had a Shin Godzilla script here at the ridiculous price of 60,000 yen. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, the movie had just opened up, you know, so usually like new scripts, if you can find them, it might just be like, you know, $50 or something like that. But it was like already that film was like super popular because of Anno. You know, a lot of Anno fans in Japan who aren't Godzilla fans, but Anno is like, you know, the god for a lot of people. But I couldn't believe, like, oh my god, this the film's playing right now, and they want. I've got like Godzilla scripts from the Millennium series. Yeah, I'd be happy to sell some of those for like that price. You know, actually, I have, and it's written in my book. I've got the GMK storyboard script, which is, you know, everyone's name. You know, it was like they print up several hundred of like the scripts, you know, word scripts. But the storyboard scripts are much rarer, and they'll have actually the staffer's name on them to control those things. And a friend of mine sent me a link on one of the like Yahoo auction or something. Someone's auctioning the GMK one, and I'm like, send me the link because it'll have the person's name on it. So he sends me the link. There's a piece of white paper covering whose name it is, because like Toho will come down on you for that. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
There might be some of the books you're talking about might be over here.
Right. You know, Mandarakes is always good. Like, I'm more of a book guy. I have to put on my mask, excuse me. So, you know, Mandarakes is always a good source for, you know, like here's, you know, all Godzilla books. I've got stuff, you know, my set photographies and some of these. These were really good too when they came out. These are these Hobby Japan hardcover book. 2002, I did 10 pages in a, they had like the winter issue. Did it like a GMK spread. There was 100 photos of mine from the set. And when I was so happy, I was at the office having the initial meeting with them, and they gave me both of these books, and I still have them. I was the editor back then, Ito, he's gone before they got like bought out. And then I used to do for Hobby Japan, after GMK, I would do, before the new Godzilla films opened up, I would do 2 issues. Like I would do a page on the new film, and then just before, like for the 2 months before, I would do for Hobby Japan like some set photos approved by Toho, and just write about this. I mean, this is, you know, Millennium stuff. This is really good to come here because you can get like these old books, and generally usually they're cheaper.
That doesn't go for every book. There are obviously a lot of books that are really expensive, but in general, in this section in particular, a lot of these books have really good prices.
Right. You can find, you know, old stuff, you know, that filling, like these things here. These, I remember these, like I have this at home because Tokyo SOS. I'm in Tokyo SOS. I'm like on screen 2 seconds and I say 2 words, but
Intercepted unidentified target. Cruise missile.
this came out right during, so this is like, you know, 20-year-old book. What do they want for it? 700 yen, so that's like $5.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite shops that I've not really filmed too much of, and I believe there's some cool Godzilla stuff over here that maybe you can tell us about. Maybe
Babe Ruth right here. So what is this, from the 30s?
up here.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Oh, you know what these are? These are like ice cream cone wrappers.
Right. From Godzilla '84.
Right. Pink Lady. I used to watch Pink Lady and Jeff, if you know the TV show, back in 78, 79.
Welcome to Pink Lady, starring Jeff Altman and B&K.
Oh, look at these, like these beautiful things. 70,000 yen.
Yeah, they're not cheap. I mean, these kind of things are generally lost by children, especially really old ones. So the value on a lot of them is quite high. But I wonder how long, you know, the value on stuff like this will last. You know, some of my favorite stuff is it's just like 2 to 3 color, brightly colored, like little robots. And I'm not a big robot guy, but I love the little, like, just plastic 2 to 3 tone robots.
These things are, this is nice too. I mean, they're like older sensibility, you know, stuff like this. You don't see anymore. You know, it's all Showa era material. Actually, I like the Roke sign. That's very nice, very old.
Yeah, that's nice.
You know, so I'm a big Showa fan. You know, Showa style.
Same. Like, look at this artwork.
There's that kind of there's a deep humanity, you know, behind that kind of not really realistic art, but there's just something that's just really striking about it, and, you know, much stronger human touch to the older thing. It was one of the reasons I like Godzilla films, even though it's not realistic. There's a real humanity to the miniature sets. There's a Godzilla thing, a card thing up there.
Yeah. 5,000 yen. It can be yours.
Get it while the getting's good. I believe my friend Ed Godziczewski, which everyone should know, and we were down at the Mandarake on the 2nd floor, and they had this there, and I had this, and I'd actually given it away when I moved to Japan. I've always been kicking myself. I gave away a lot of figures. And it was there, it was like 3,500 yen, which be like, okay, whatever, 30 bucks. You know, the exchange rate, the yen is so weak right now. Enjoy it while it lasts. Oh, it's like, that's a good price. Should I get it? I don't know. okay, well, maybe I'll get it later. And I'm like, God, I got it. And I look online, it's like really expensive. I come back the next day, sold already. And I'm like, Ed, why did you tell me buy it now? He's like, well, it's up to you, right? So you give him a hard time about that. But this price is $4,500.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, that's a good price, and because it's a big piece. Yeah, I had this when this came out. A friend bought it for me. I was still living in New York when this came out, and gave it to me. And it's a good piece, better than the movie. I still believe. Alien Autopsy.
Go. All right, here's another place I've never really filmed. This is Mandarakes like vintage poster shop. Do you collect posters at all?
I have posters. I don't have the wall space to present them, but I don't buy posters anymore. But for example, I have this one actually at home. And this is actually, I'm pretty sure this is an original, but see the price on this one isn't that outrageous. And this one's always been like a cheaper one, but you've got, I mean, always like the Mothra versus Godzilla's, and you see that 60,000 yen. And these are really great. This wasn't actually here last week. This is a King Kong Escapes pamphlet. I do collect pamphlets. The thing you have to be careful with pamphlets, some of the older ones, is you find them cheap, then you get them home, you open them up, and kids from back then have cut out photos. So I've got like a Destroy All Monsters one, I got it, oh, $30, great. I get home, and it's like, there's some kid cut out a photo. You can see it was like, the scissors went down, cut the square out, pasted. So I used to do that with Marvel comics that today would go for like tens of thousands of dollars, but back then you're a kid, you're like, oh, I like this frame, I'm going to cut it out. So you got to be careful when you buy these things. If you do buy them, make sure you open them up and flip through to make sure, because that's a thing about these ones from the old days, is there's a lot of ones that have missing elements to them. But this store is great. They've got Frankenstein Conquers the World over here. It's a wonderful film. And they even have, I think these are good. Like, look at this, is, Flight to Mars. Them, with George Powell's Destination Moon. Those prices are like good. Decent prices there.
Montango?
Montango, that's like $1,500 right there.
Yeah.
So Montango's always expensive. Yeah, so this store's got like inside a lot of things, and like I said, strips are over here. A lot of used film books.
I love this poster. This one behind you.
Brag. Look, I wrote this book.
You wrote this book?
I got my name right there. I wrote some of the books that are, contributing author, but this one, I was one of the main writers on this one. I have actually a big piece in this one with, I worked on a Miike movie called Yakuza Apocalypse. So I wrote a set report about like working side by side with Miike. That's in this one. And that was my last Fangoria piece. And you also have then the premium stuff is in the folders over here. For example, here we are, like this, and here, like this.
Yeah, I've got the reprint of this one.
I've actually got an original, and I got it for like $50 back in the 90s.
$330. That seems reasonable for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have this poster too. This is King Kong Escapes, and it's just $6,600. That's a good price. I love this poster. I need more wall space. Actually, I prefer the Champion Matsuri Destroy All Monsters poster, because that one, I'm not such a big fan of the art, but it's the original Destroy All Monsters poster, so it's great. But have you seen the Matsuri poster? It's the same thing, but with photos of the monsters in the same positions. I have that one too. And I like that one because I like the photos on the thing better. That was like a 70s re-release of the film. So yeah, I do have some posters, that I picked up when I was more of a collector, like before I got involved in the films. So when I came to Japan, it was like, oh my God, all this stuff is here. No, it was fun back then. It was exciting.
And the sad thing now is that we have access to all this stuff because we live here, but we have no wall space.
We have no wall space. Yes, this is the go-to Mandarake for kaiju figure buyers. I'm sure people watching who have been to Japan, they have all been here. So there's nothing new I can add to the dialogue about this place. But this is where I was with Ed, and they had that Mecha King Ghidorah right in the window for 3,500 yen, and stupid me didn't buy it. I'm still always like, where did it go? Who bought it? Actually, I want to say when these came out, these were something, remote control. They're actually pretty good price for it. But the thing about these is the rubber on the outside of the skeleton disintegrates. So I'm really curious, like, what it actually looks like inside. So they came out with 3 of these back in the day, and this was like the figure to get. Was this one? They came out with the Mothra that shoots webbing. I had a friend in New York who bought one of those, and we were shooting the webbing one day, like, oh, awesome. And then they've got this, what is this, the Violante one.
Yeah.
And then I think they gave up on them.
Someday I might own one. Hey, did you work on any of the Mothra movies as a still photographer, or?
Thank God, no.
What do you know about this jacket?
It's probably a staff jacket from back then. I've got a GMK staff jacket. I've got a couple staff jackets, but then they stopped making like jackets like this. I have like a Lorelei one, Higuchi's first movie. I'm the first actor you see, the first human being you see in Lorelei.
There's a great story about your GMK staff jacket in the book. So if you guys want to find out that story, check out the book.
That gold thing. And as a staff jacket, I mean, like these things, this one looks a little better, but that one, it's like one of those jackets that's made out of plastic, and it's got the bands around the wrist. You put that on, like 2 minutes later, you're covered in sweat. Zip that thing up for like an hour, and you like sweat, pounds off of you. So I've never even really worn that just because it's just so not easy to wear. But it's cool, you know what I mean? It's a GMK staff jacket. Anyone want to buy it? Yeah, this is the case that I have like the most interest in, and I have a lot of these. I still have some figures, and this is actually pretty good. I mean, this is like, everybody knows, nothing groundbreaking here, but this is the Destroyer, theater exclusive for this. And that I've got 2 of these at home. I've got one that's still in the plastic bag it came in. So this is a tagged one actually, so this is cool. And there's another one over there. And there's another one in the back which is really decolored over there. But yeah, when these came out, I mean, these were like, no one had seen a theater exclusive before. It was really, good times.
It's another theater exclusive, I believe, yeah?
Yeah, that's the GMK Ghidorah, that's a theater exclusive on that. And I think some of these, then they just made too many theater exclusives, and event exclusives. And they like oversaturated the market, really. So, but it was really like, that was like an exciting time. And for a US dealer, I was buying boxes of them and shipping them to the US, and it became a thing in Japan because I think they only made like 5,000, and like a fifth of them wound up in the US, and people in Japan were like, where did they all go? It's like guilty as charged. Yeah, these are still, I've got the Gigantus in the back there. I like, and I had mentioned earlier, I think this is the Bandai that came out after mine. The one, I always call him the Diver Godzilla. Just don't like that figure. Hey! I had this Baragon, that's right, back in is that Yamakatsu?
Yeah, I believe that's the Yamakatsu one.
Yeah, I had that one, and I had the Anguillus, and there are other ones I've like parted with.
Here's the GMK Bandai. As I was saying, it's the most expensive standard.
And of
Bandai.
course, like back then I was, working on GMK. there in GMK, the figures came out. I didn't buy any figures because it felt like so oversaturated with them, and like, why didn't I buy any of those? I've got the plush toys. You know, who released those? The foreign. I was just like cleaning them the other day because they just like dirt gravitates to them. Yeah, that was like a big, like the Toho PR people were really proud of the deal that they made. You know, the flying Mothra, Godzilla, and Ghidorah.
We'll insert them here.
Yeah, we'll insert them here, but those I did get. Or I was given them actually. Like Toho gave me a set of those.
I really like this kind of stuff right here, like these little weird things. Like this, you wind up this egg and the Godzilla pops out and walks.
Oh, this, I had these. I didn't have this one, but the I had the Ghidorah one, you know, in the kind of brownish, light brown egg.
Yeah.
That thing was like, I love that thing. Wind that thing up, put it on the ground, it like shakes. And then you've seen them,
Yeah.
you know, they pop off, and then it's just perfectly walking.
Yeah, yeah.
Like calm as day.
This is
you
the
know?
same line, but this is the reissued one. They only reissued Godzilla, and they put them in these weird colors. But
Right,
the first
right,
line were like, yeah, like brownish eggs, and they had Ghidorah, Mothra, and Godzilla.
Right.
Yeah,
I
they're
didn't
really
have
good.
the Godzilla. I had Ghidorah and Mothra.
Yeah.
You know, and I love those things. And the thing I liked about it was like, you know, how, like I said, it violently pops out of this thing, but it's just calmly like. Where is the toilet paper? The Beatland toilet paper.
We should go ask them if they have any toilet paper.
Excuse me. Cough up the Beatland toilet paper.
Can you name all of the Ultra Kaiju in this case?
Does my life depend on it? It was the original green one, which hurt your hands like digging in like.
All right, we're gonna check out one more shop because I gotta head to the Marasan event, but we're at Robot, one of the few locations. And actually this corner over here has a showcase of Godzilla stuff from mostly the 90s.
No, I've known this shop before, but I didn't know that this was actually Robot.
Yeah. So the
'Cause I shop at the other one to buy U.S. stuff.
Right.
You know, and I do events with them because I'm part of this thing, the George Romero Foundation. So I do the Japan chapter, and we sell like George Romero goods and things like that. And Robot's always there, so we hang out. But I did not know that this was a Robot branch, but of domestic stuff.
right, yeah. The other one is all American stuff, and then this stuff is all. Well,
stuff.
there's some imported Godzilla stuff, but this is all like more of the anime and tokusatsu related toys. There's some eggs, but they're the American.
Oh, right.
We're looking for the little wind-up eggs.
The elusive eggs. I also like spaceships, like like 1950s spaceships and things like that. And sometimes, like Japan will release like UFO or you know some of the ITC British stuff here, and I'll always buy those Star Trek ones. So I have a little collection at home.
There might be some stuff on the far left. We can circle back around. But it's majority of this is Ultraman and anime and Gundam.
Plow through here.
But on the far other side of the shop, this is where I found my Mecha King Ghidorah a couple weeks ago. It was right up here.
There's just a little dusty space now where your Ghidorah was.
Yo, Jeremy. I'm Malcolm, the dude who messaged you on Instagram.
Oh, what's up?
This is wild. What's going on, man?
All right,
Cool.
shooting a video. Yeah, you're
is
on the
my
video
friend
now.
Brandon. What's up, dude?
Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
I don't see my eggs or anything.
You and your eggs. We started the day with eggs. We're ending the day with eggs. Or ending the day without eggs, I should say. Bye, guys.
Yeah, later, man.
Oh,
All right. Well, I guess we're leaving empty-handed for them, or egg-handed.
Like I said, in GMK when they're doing the sound mix, and I was there for the sound mix, and you know, especially on you had like the first third is like just sound effects and the monsters fighting. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it might have been nice to have battles at night or something like that. Even though, the Yokohama stuff is at night. But yeah, I think they wanted to do that also, like in the broad daylight.
Right. The CG Ghidorah is the only part that kind of takes me out of it.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean,
movies.
that's CG 20 years ago,
Right.
And in Japan.
Do you think they'd ever put out re-release those movies with updated CGI?
I mean, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd go see it.
I'd go see it. We got one ticket here.
Unfortunately, we didn't find a whole lot today. I think a lot of it's been picked through this past couple weekends with Wonderfest, but I enjoyed hanging out today and talking.
Thank you for having me on your channel there.
Yeah, we'll have to do something else in the near future.
Sounds good.
Definitely check out Norman's book. It is definitely the coolest book regarding the whole topic of kaiju movie production that exists, and it's one of the few that exist in English with such an awesome perspective on the whole thing. So
it's the only one.
It's the only one, basically. I'll put a link in the description, so if you guys want to check it out, click the link and help support Norman.
Thank you very much.
Catch you in the next video.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, Norman's not with me, but I found it. All right, this one's for you, buddy.